What is up, everyone? Kinetic Coach Dan here from my new garage gym. You'll see I've got a great little setup here with my Beaver Fit squat rack, my Reebok step, my slant board, and a number of other great tools that I love to work with consistently for mobile, efficient, and effective training. That's what you've come to expect from me as Kinetic Coach Dan, that you've seen at the farm, that I built on this entire educational and promotional concept behind specific training tools that improve the efficacy and the overall experience of training. Now, one of those big things that you'll notice throughout the years of watching my videos is that I do love barefoot training. I will either train literally barefoot or I'll use some kind of barefoot training shoes. So today we're going to be taking a look at Peluva Barefoot shoes. Now, these are more of a toe style shoe that allow you to separate your different toes and really feel that ground contact. So I just want to thank Peluva for sending these out to test them. They've really been a great experience thus far, and for the sake of visuals here, just to show you what it is, you get this really nice, very professional, very elegant looking box, and it's more of a sliding style box, which is a nice touch, although I'm not really here for any aesthetics of boxes. What I'm interested in is the quality and efficacy of the product itself. Now, you'll see right out of the box that this is a really nice quality shoe. The materials are solid. I'm not entirely sure what kind of material this is, but it's really quite stretchy, which bodes well for putting it on your feet, and it feels like the inner liners right out of the gate feel really great. And we have nice long shoelaces here, which makes it easy to lace them up and work with. Now, when you're putting on a shoe like this, obviously you don't just slip your feet directly in. You've got to make sure that each toe is individually placed within the toe slots here. So one of the little tricks that I've discovered here when putting on my Peluvas is making sure that I get that big toe turned in first, really actively trying to spread my toes. If you have trouble with that, there's lots of great exercises that you can do with a tool like this right here, the slant board, but I redirect the shoe slightly, spread my toes, and make sure that I can easily slide my toe into that position. They also make specific low profile toe socks that come below the threshold of the top of the shoe here, and for me, I like a nice snug fit. Me personally, I prefer slightly shorter laces, but I always double knot anyway, so that kind of takes care of some of that added length. And you can see here, I'm just going to tuck that away. And now, just wearing the shoe, you can feel the quality and the comfort that you would experience with having a shoe like this. Let's go ahead and get the other one on. Like I said, I've already had the opportunity to train in these pretty consistently. So again, we're just going to shift that big toe slightly, spread the toes as we slide them in, get these laced up. And there are just so many activities that your body can benefit from taking your shoes off and having a less narrow toed positioning that allows your toes to really spread out, grab the ground, and communicate properly through the neurology in your feet and tell your glutes to turn on. Your big toe and the same nerve that runs your big toe also communicates with your glutes and tells them to turn on. So when you're in positions like this, if you're grabbing the floor with your big toe, turning on your arches, and then turning on your glutes at the same time, this is a much more athletic position to work from. And then if we use something like a slant board here, for instance, we get the benefit of eversion and inversion and working balance and allowing our toes to shift in different ways. And if you look at the design of the Peluvas here, this outsole actually isn't very thick. So you do still get the benefit of your foot interacting with the ground without the sort of ick factor or maybe the sensitivity that you experience by your feet touching harder, more harsh surfaces or abrasive surfaces like what you feel on something like a slant board here that's intended to have some grip. Concrete surfaces don't feel so great. These are all great ways to just train and start drilling a better level of fascial integration from the foot up, stretching the toes and the arches and telling all those little muscles that stabilize your foot and ankle and knee and hip all the way up the kinetic chain in this environment. Another activity that I love doing barefoot is jump roping, but inevitably you're going to hit your toes eventually. So if you're doing that barefoot, something like the resistor rope here, which is made of elastic band and then has a plastic covering here, that's going to whip you in the toes or the heels or the top of your foot eventually, and that doesn't feel so great. Having a barrier glove-like object on your foot to create a protective layer is nice there, and that doesn't hurt anywhere near as much as it would if I have the Peluvas on. I don't have to worry about that sort of pain, and then the bottom of my foot is protected while I'm jumping here, and I'm not tearing up the bottom of my foot as I jump. If I take on other activities like the rope rolling, rotational movement skills of WEC method, for instance, now I'm getting this benefit of learning to pivot and shift weight from outside edge to inside edge and working my feet through these different rotational patterns as we shift weight from one foot to the other. These are patterns that are indicative of more of throwing or weapon wielding type patterns that have a functional application in sports as well as life, where when we're working from one side of the body to the other, we have to be able to learn to shift, pivot, and transfer force through that transverse plane. And that's not traditionally something that our body would experience if all we ever do is wear running shoes and only run straight ahead, or do linear lifts that pull the weight straight up off the ground, or squat with it on our shoulders and go vertical. So this is a great way to train some of those patterns. We can do some of those patterns with weight, and having shoes that allow our toes to spread out and create better balance and a better neurological ground force interaction in an environment to change the overall fascial integration of how our body moves from our hands to our feet and from our feet back to our hands. That makes a big difference with how your body develops from a neurological, from a muscular, and from a fascial perspective. So hopefully you enjoyed this video about Peluva shoes. You see, they're pretty easy to take on, take off, and they make walking, running, and just becoming more athletic a breeze, because they are a great protective layer. They're really quite stylish compared to other barefoot or toe shoe style shoes, and you just can't go wrong with training your feet to be stronger. You want to be stronger one step, one breath at a time. You want to be able to live kinetically, and this is just one simple way to do it. Get your traditional shoes off, get your feet interacting with the ground and moving in all kinds of different ways to enjoy the benefits of strengthening the one thing that's touching the ground and telling the rest of your body how to move when you locomote. And that's kind of an important part of this whole thing. So if you're interested in the Peluva shoes, make sure to go to peluva.com, use discount code Kinetic to order. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or go to my website, livekinetically.com. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, comment, and if you have any questions about how to train barefoot and start developing a progressive mindset towards barefoot training to progress adequately for your level of training, again, reach out to me. I'll see you in the gym, y'all. Live kinetically.